Welcome back to the Stretch the Floor podcast. I'm Matthew, and I'm here as always with Venushan. And a lot has gone down since we last recorded. We at the last episode, right when we were about to cut it, Kyle Lowry, the sign and trade went down with the Heat. We didn't know what the details were. Now we know the details. All the dominoes have fallen, kind of except Lowry Markkanen. I think is kind of the only question mark left.
Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, but basically everyone signed, even Kawhi. He took his time. Today we're gonna go through pretty much everything that happened. We're gonna give our takes on every single team. We're gonna keep it pretty concise, but every single team, how we feel about them going into the new season. Also, summer league started a couple days ago. We saw a big performance from LiAngelo Ball. We're gonna, among other things, we're gonna get into that. Just quick little takes from the stuff we've seen. I think we should start getting into it now because this is going to be a bit of a long one. Let's start. Let's just go in order of the standings from this past season. We'll start with the Sixers in the Eastern Conference. How are we feeling about their new rotation coming into the season? If you can even call it a new rotation, it's basically just Andre Drummond plus their old guys.
It's funny that we're starting with this team because this is the one team that's not going to look like this the start of the season, or at least we all hope so as NBA fans, because Ben Simmons is kind of being a diva and saying he only wants to go to Sacramento teams. I said Sacramento, California teams. The only California team that's actually trying to get him is Sacramento. So that really limits 76ers options and opportunities to get him, because if you're the Raptors, if you're the Portland Trailblazers, you don't want to trade for a disgruntled guy. But we got to just talk about what they have right now, and it's, as you said, identical to what they had before. The backcourt of Ben Simmons and Seth Curry starting. Backing them up is Milton and Tyrese Maxey. The small forward spot, you're going to have Danny Green and Korkmaz. At the power forward spot, you're going to have Tobias Harris. And at the center spot, you're going to have Joel Embiid with a pretty good backup in Andre Drummond. Yeah. And that's going to be like their 9-man rotation. Tyball's also going to get some minutes at that 3-4 spot, maybe even 2 spot, but he's going to also get some minutes. So around like a 9-10-man rotation, they're still going to be a great regular season team. But come playoff time, people are just going to sack off Ben Simmons, sack off Tyball. They're just going to clog it up for Embiid. It's going to be incredibly hard to him to do anything. And they're going to be like a second round exit, most likely.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, is Andre Drummond's a great ad as a backup center. And in fact, I'm surprised that he was willing to take that role as a backup center, because our team, the Raptors, would have given him some money to play starting center minutes, I assume. Or a team like that, the Hornets, maybe. But yeah, is he really would he, if they had him this year against the Hawks, would he have made the difference in that series? No. I don't think so. Yeah, Ben Simmons and Embiid, like, it's a good team on paper. It's going to win a lot of games in the regular season, but like you said, come playoff time, I don't think those two can play together. I think Ben Simmons needs to be surrounded by pure shooters or a Towns type of center or something like that. Yeah, I'm with you. This is the team that, out of all the contenders, is probably going to be shaken up the most. Like you said, at least we hope. But I don't know how happy Simmons would be going to Sacramento. But I mean, if they build the team around him,
it's just California, right?
Yeah,
he just wants to be in California and like the close enough to LA and like that weather near the coast, all that stuff. From what it sounds like, he just kind of gave up on, like, in my opinion, this is going to be a very hot, not a hot take, but it's going to be a very extreme take. It just sounds like he gave up on basketball. Like, he doesn't want to go to a team that's going to develop him or make him better. He just wants to go somewhere where he can just hang out and have like the most lavish life, which it's okay when you're an MVP level player like Kawhi Leonard and stuff like that, right? Because you know how good they are in basketball. We can't make that question about Kawhi Leonard, right? But for people like Ben Simmons, he shouldn't have, the trading room of a Harden, of a Kawhi, because we don't even know if he likes basketball the way he plays it. So I don't know. I wouldn't want him on my team.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like his athleticism and natural, talent has gotten him this far, but when you get to this level, it needs a little more than that, right?
Drive,
exactly, yeah. I think that pretty much covers it for the Sixers. Let's go on to the next team, the Nets, who are pretty much just running it back. They added Patty Mills, which I think is an awesome ad. I love that. Really good depth ad. But other than that, they re-signed Blake Griffin. They
lost Jeff Green and replaced him with James Johnson, which is a pretty, I would say, equivalent ad. James Johnson has a little bit less shooting, but he's a little bit taller, has a bigger body. So I think that's a pretty good ad to play small ball 5.
And they brought in our guy DeAndre Bembry, who was low key like he can give you a good 10, 12 minutes on a good team.
Yeah.
So basically running it back, doubling down on these depth guys, and if the guys are healthy, they're winning the championship, right?
Yeah. So now they have a backcourt of Kyrie Harden with a bench of Patty Mills, Bruce Brown at small forward. I think they're gonna go KD at small forward with Joe Harris coming off the bench as like the sixth man. And I think they're gonna start Blake Griffin at power forward with James Johnson as the backup power forward, and I think Claxton at the 5 with DeAndre Jordan as the backup 5. I think that's gonna be their regular like season team, and then come playoff time, if they're not versing the Sixers, or if they're not versing the Sixers, basically that's it. They're gonna move Claxton to the bench, push Blake Griffin to the 5, and start Harris. But that's the regular season team, and that's just to alleviate, wear and tear on KD's body, because you want him going against lighter, skinnier guys, because those bigger guys are going to eventually break him down over 82 game seasons. So yeah, that's going to be the regular season lineup. That's the playoff lineup. We both have them as NBA favorites. If they're healthy, they're going to win the championship. The question is, are they going to be healthy? And we hope so. Make it competitive.
Yeah, that's the only question. And it's crazy because this team has so much, obviously, star power at the top, but they have so much good depth at the bottom. It's crazy. I don't remember the last time a team was so top heavy, but had such reliable depth, like shooting, defense, role players, like everything you need. So if they're healthy, even if they're 80% healthy, they're probably runaway championship favorites.
Yeah, they could run a lineup of Patty Mills, Bruce Brown, Joe Harris, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan. And like that as your bench lineup is like solid. Like that could give you a solid 15 minutes. Obviously, one of the starters will obviously be with them, one of the big 3. So once you add a Harden, KD, Kyrie to that, like they could win any game. And then all 3 of those guys, like they're gonna be favorites. It's just injury. Obviously, you have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. We don't know how effective this quad injury is for Harden too. Is it a career-long effect? Hopefully not. Quad injury is usually, with enough rest, he should be fine, but hopefully it's all fine. KD looked amazing in the Olympics, looked like the best player in the world. I think everyone in the NBA kind of agrees he's the best player in the world. So go in that chip without no asterisks. It's still a super team, but it's a super team you built versus you joined. So go in a team, go in the championship. Yeah, just be healthy.
Yeah, exactly. It's just health. I think that's pretty much it for the Nets. The team that beat them and did win the championship this year is the Milwaukee Bucks. They lost PJ Tucker, which who's really big for them in the playoffs. Obviously, played some really good minutes on Kevin Durant. So I am thinking that the Bucks are a little bit downgraded this year, but there will be veteran minimum guys like that they can bring in mid-season and stuff like that. So they're pretty much running it back, but they're probably 3rd at best in the pecking order in the East.
I'll put them second.
Maybe second. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they added George Hill, which always finds himself on the Bucks somehow. So yeah, they added George Hill, and someone I'm going to say they added because they didn't have him in the run is Dante Di Vincenzo.
Yeah.
Like he went out in the run, so they're kind of adding Dante Di Vincenzo. He's going to be a really solid guy for them, and he's going to play really well. This does make them a little bit smaller because Dante Di Vincenzo is going to be very obviously a guard. He's not going to be able to switch on to like a Kevin Durant or whatever. But you have Giannis, and we've seen PJ Tucker guard Devin Booker and stuff, right? So Di Vincenzo hopefully can have that same type of defensive impact with like a million times better offensive impact, because all he has to do is hit 1-3 to have more points than PJ Tucker. So I think they're still a good team. If anything happens to the Nets, which might happen, this is my team to come out the East. They're going to have a lot more confidence, and I think that's going to really help them. I think Giannis is going to take a leap. He's going to have an MVP like running like narrative now and everything. So he's going to be in MVP conversations. Chris Middleton's going to be a for sure all-star lock versus like last year and stuff. Like there was debate. Now he's going to be a lock because he just got a chip. Drew Holiday is going to be in the debate now. He's finally getting the recognition he deserves. So they're going to have a lot of success. And for them, it's just going to be, can they outscore the Nets super team, right? So yeah, they're still going to be amazing.
Yeah, they'll be in there. Definitely top 3, top 4 at the worst. And
4 at the worst.
Giannis is probably the best regular season player in the league. He plays almost every game. He he puts up a 30 and 13 every
10,
game.
yeah.
They'll be in there. And with that kind of championship monkey off their back, maybe his free throw shooting improves in the playoffs and stuff like that. And they're not the best team in the East, but they're definitely top 5 team in the league, top 4 or 5 team in the league for sure.
Top 3. I have them third in my league ranking, but they're really up there.
And
expected from the returning champs.
Exactly. Going on to a team which I think is going to drop in the rankings in the East is the New York Knicks. They don't have a bad team, and actually, like after the day 1 of free agency, day 2, I thought they were like, oh, they're just pretty much running it back, bringing their guys back, and then they went out and made that Kemba trade, which kind of came totally out of left field. So now their lineup's looking like
Kemba signing.
The buyout and then the Kemba signing. Yeah, my bad. Yeah. So now they're running a lineup of Kemba at the 1, with Fournier at the 2, and then RJ at the 3, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, Derrick Rose off the bench, Alec Burks, hopefully an improvement from Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickly. There's some good depth in there. So
Nerlens
Noel. Like, I don't think they got worse as a team. They actually probably did get better, but so many other teams made improvements in the East that I think they're going to drop a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be a top 4 seed, but I don't expect them to drop too much. I have them in that 5 to 7 range. Like I still see them competing there. And the thing that people don't realize is continuity does help. It's kind of what happened with like the DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry era.
Yeah.
Where you just keep the same team, that they have so much confidence and like familiarity playing with each other that they just keep getting wins early on and they can't get good records. And that's what this team's doing. They're banking on internal development while adding pieces that can help them. So a lineup of Kemba, Fournier, it's gonna have, with that backcourt, it's gonna have so much more shooting than the backcourt of like Peyton and stuff.
Yeah.
It's gonna help a lot more shot creation too. Fournier's a much better creator than Reggie Bullock was, so that's fair. And then they're obviously expecting internal development from RJ, from Quickly, from OB, even from Randall, from Mitchell Robinson. If all those guys make a jump, then we're talking about another like top 3 seed, right? But let's say just RJ makes a jump or just Mitchell Robinson's jump, we could see them back in that contention. And I think they're going to be a better playoff team now because we saw them get exposed where it was kind of focused heavy on Randall. I think they might be a little bit worse as a regular season team, but they'll be a much better playoff team because this team is better.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Like the half-court offense was tough to watch in that Hawks series. A healthy Kemba and Fournier, those definitely do help that. The question is obviously, as it is every year, Kemba, his knee, how healthy he's going to be. Do you think he's day 1 starting, playing 30 minutes a game, 32 minutes a game, or what do you think this looks like?
I don't think they need to play 30 minutes. I think Derrick Rose is probably one of Tibbs' favorite player of all times.
Yeah.
And I think they're just going to be like, Quickly is going to be like the backup shooting guard who could run point guard too. He's probably a natural point guard, but he's going to run shooting guard for this team. But those guys all could take minutes away from him and keep him at like controlled like 30 minutes, like 28 minutes. Because we know Rose is going to be in the running for 6th man of the year because that's how Tibbs is going to play him. So I think he has some decent rest too, because I think he rest and he can move to like a 9-man rotation where Rose coming in as a starting PG and Quickly taking the backup PG and shooting good minutes. So I think that should be fine. I think they're gonna have ample rest for both their point guards, Rose and Kemba. And I think they should be fine. Like 6th seed is what I'm expecting to be around.
Yeah.
A slight drop off, but not because of them, because of everyone else.
Yeah, they could find themselves in that play-in, but I mean, they would be a fun playing team for sure. This is going to be one of the more fun and probably more well-liked teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
So the team that they lost to, the Atlanta Hawks, pretty much also just running it back. They brought back John Collins after a little bit of negotiation, I guess. I thought our Raptors were maybe going to make a run at him, but not. They're also brought in DeLon Wright. They re-signed Lou Williams.
Yeah.
Other than that, pretty much just running it back. And I like their team. I think they're going to be definitely, obviously, a playoff lock. I think they're going to be a top 6 team. We saw Trae Young and the improvements he made. Bogdanovich just fits there like a glove. Another year of continuity of him with the injured guys like Reddish and DeAndre Hunter coming back.
Yeah,
I think this is going to be a pretty good team.
Yeah, that's the key things. Even though they're running it back, they're technically adding Hunter, Reddish. DeLon Wright is a huge improvement as a backup PG over injured Chris Dunn. He was injured the whole time. So they brought back Lou Williams, who I thought was going to go chase another contender and like try to get a minimum and win a chip, but I'm happy he came back. This team, man, you made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, and all your good guys are like in their 20s and early 20s at that. So you have to run it back. It was the most obvious decision. They also got Sharif Cooper, who was balling out in the G League.
Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson. Those are a couple steals. We love what they did on the draft. We already said that. So this team, I expect them to stay around that 5 spot. I don't expect them to take that Knicks 4 spot. We're talking about that team later, who we expect to take that 4 spot. But yeah, they're going to be really good. They're going to be exciting. They're going to be everything. It's interesting to notice that the NBA rule change is going to affect Trae Young, because that's kind of the player everyone's expecting. But for people who are overreacting and said Trae Young's going to be 18-6 guy or whatever, no, Trae Young is still going to be a 25-10 guy. It's just he's going to do it differently, and everyone's going to notice that. So Trae Young can stop getting the hate that he does and finally be recognized as one of the best young players in the league.
Yeah, and that rule change is going to affect everyone. Everybody scores like that. Trae Young is just one of the most gifted players at doing it. But yeah, like he's going to be 25-10. He's going to be on the All-Star team for sure. Probably make a run at All-NBA, I think.
Yeah, he should have made the All-Star team last year. We called him a big snub. League media, like the actual big media members, they didn't call him a snub, which was pretty ridiculous considering how good his team was doing and how good his numbers were. So if he has another good numbers and his team is actually like in that top 4 contention, he has to be a lock for All-Star.
Yeah, and the amount of win now talent on this team with the in future. 1 or 2 years cap flexibility is they're probably one of the most enviable teams for GMs around the league to be being their GM, being part of the organization right now is probably one of the best in the league.
Yeah, people always joke about how Luka got traded and the Hawks kind of missed that they traded Luka.
Yeah.
Well, Luka kind of wishes he was on Atlanta because he wants all that talent and spacing and just that whole play style around him rather than just having Kristaps Porzingis. So yeah, is what it is. But Atlanta Hawks GM, we have to give him a lot of credit. Trae Young, give him a lot of credit. And these young guys are exciting to watch. They're going to be in this top 4 range for the next decade.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, moving on. This is going to be a little painful to talk about for both of us, but the Miami Heat signed Kyle Lowry, signed and traded Kyle Lowry. That was in return for Goran Dragic, who we'll get into in a minute once we get to the Raptors, and Precious Achiuwa. 3-year contract for Lowry, $90 million. So their lineup is looking pretty nice. Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler. They signed PJ Tucker, Bam at the 5 with Tyler Hero and bringing in Markieff Morris off the bench with Dwayne Dedmon there. Victor Oladipo they brought back too. This team has so much depth. This team has so much versatility. A true half-court point guard now with Kyle Lowry. This team is going to be a top 3 team in the East and definitely going to make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah, this is my 3rd seed in the East. The 6th and 4th in my opinion. But yeah, this team is going to be incredible. I expect them to make the conference finals. I expect them to beat the Bucks in the second round, make the conference finals versus the Nets, and obviously lose to the super team. But they're just so ready to compete for a championship. They're win now with Butler, Lowry, PJ Tucker. They have future people. Duncan Robinson is still in his 20s. Bam is still really young. Tyler Hill is still really young. So they're win now and they have future. Also building a great team. They're going to be competing. Man, it's going to be fun to watch this team. And all the veterans want to go there, and they're close to the hard cap, so they're really pushing for it this year. They're just going to be a fun team to watch, fun team to play. Not a fun team to play against because it's going to be tough. Well, one thing to shout out is we mentioned for the Nets injuries. These guys are also Kyle Lowry is not the most healthy person. He is 36. He's gonna get older as every day goes by. So health and resting is gonna be another thing for this team, and that might cause the standings to fluctuate a little bit because they're gonna obviously prioritize health over standings because they're a better team.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone knows the status of Victor Oladipo's health, but probably out for the year, but it's kind of a lottery ticket. Who knows what can happen if he does end up coming back. But yeah, Kyle Lowry, 36. You're probably going to manage his minutes a little bit in the regular season, although he played
a lot,
huge minutes every year under Nick Nurse for the past couple of years and seem to be totally fine and ever show signs of slowing down. So we'll see there. But I can't really think of two players who are better fits for each other than Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler. Like they're kind of like very similar mentality players, always leaving it all out on the floor. And I think this team is going to be really, really fun to watch play together, play some really good defense, and then play that kind of like grindy playoff basketball that we know the Heat for over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and what this does is also like the pick and roll for Bam is going to be so much more efficient.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to take a dig at Jimmy or whatever, but Kyle Lowry is just a million times better at running the pick and roll than Jimmy Butler. And Bam Adebayo is going to have so much more easier feeds. And he's going to have so much more easier assists now because if he's running to the basket, he's going to obviously easy throwaways to the three-point shots. So we're going to see his numbers improve. Kyle Lowry's numbers are not going to shock the world, or this team's not going to automatically become a 60-win team that's going to shock the world. His impact is going to be felt in the playoffs. That's when it's going to be matter most. And this is just a playoff team, man. Like once they get that third seed, they're going to be ready to go in the playoffs. They're going to be tough. Half court, free, fast break, everything adaptable. They have a closer in Butler. Yeah, this is a playoff team that's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, it's going to be painful to see Kyle Lowry win a playoff game drawing a charge on Giannis in the second round. It's going to be painful, but this is one of the teams I'm rooting for sure because I want him to get another championship to solidify that Hall of Fame berth.
Career,
like as painful as it is for us, I'm definitely rooting for them.
Yeah, and the Raptors kind of in Miami have like a little sticky history, you know, with Chris Bosh going there, with Alonzo Mourning after the Vince Carter trade, not wanting to play for the Raptors and then getting bought out and instantly getting signed with the Miami Heat, with Shaq wearing our jersey to kind of taunt us that Alonzo Mourning is not going to come to the Raptors. So yeah, that was a little beef there too. And then now Goran Dragic not wanting to play with us. So yeah, it's going to be hard to root for the Miami Heat, but we just like Kyle Lowry so much that we're going to try to root for him. But yeah, Miami Heat is one of our rivals as a Toronto Raptors fans, but we'll try to do our best for Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, we'll try. Well, we got the whole season to kind of try our best, and then come playoff time when our team's not in it and we don't have any like horses in the race, then yeah. Okay, so moving on to the Boston Celtics. Couple, not too much went on. We're on free agency, over free agency, but they did bring in Josh Richardson with that 3-team trade. Like we talked about before, Kemba Walker is no longer part of their team. Al Horford is back. They brought in Enes Kanter, Chris Dunn. What are we thinking about this team? I'm not really sure how I really feel about them right now.
So they have like Marcus Smart at point guard. They have shooting guard. What would you say? Josh Richardson probably starts.
Yeah.
Small forward. They probably run Brown. They run small lineup with Tatum at the 4, Al Horford at the 5. The big players off the bench are Robert Williams, who a lot of us think could be a starter. So we don't know if they're going to run big with him at center and Al Horford at power forward, but let's leave him at the bench for now. They brought back Enes Kanter, who's another solid backup center. Then they have their guys, Neesmith, Langford, as you mentioned, Dunn, like all
Pritchard.
those, and Pritchard. So they have some young guys, some experience there.
Yeah.
Basically, this is a team that's give it a Tatum, give it a Brown, space the floor, give them some playmaking here and there, and let's see what those two guys could do. And those two guys are so good that they could still be a top 4 seed. We have them probably around like that 7 range, but they could still be a top 4 seed because those two guys are just that good. Tatum is an all NBA level player, and so is Brown. He's entering that all NBA level.
Yeah. This team kind of reminds me of like Clippers light. You have the two awesome wings in Tatum and Brown, probably not quite as good as Kawhi and PG. And then not a real playmaker around them, but you have Marcus Smart, who's a really good defender. Same with Josh Richardson. Al Horford, maybe rejuvenated. So they can definitely run out some interesting lineups, and it kind of will just come down to how well does the team fit around Tatum and Brown.
Yeah.
It probably fits like
pretty well,
like probably better than last year. Because all these guys kind of know their role, and there's going to be primary ball handler Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown doing his thing, and everyone else kind of just fall into line with another year for Peyton Pritchard and Neesmith, who I really like. With Kanter there, who can get you some buckets, just like kind of punish the pain a little bit. It's going to be a good team for sure. But like you said, there's just so many teams that improved that we're going to get into.
Yeah.
That they're probably looking at a 6 to 7, possibly 8 range, but with a
Yeah.
potential to be higher than that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then one thing we have to recognize is they had Tristan Thompson and Robert Williams playing center for the most time last year. Now they have Al Horford, who's just a way better playmaker and way better shooter than those two guys. And that's obviously something Brad Stevens and probably Jason Tatum wanted for the fourth quarter, because now he could just score a lot easier, right? Him and Jaylen Brown, because Al Horford could go sit in the corner or run some pick and roll like passes. And it's just the offense is going to be more fluid, and it's going to obviously help their new coach. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see his rotations, because this is the first time coaching, so we can't really tell too much. But it's going to be interesting to see. They're a good team. They still have potential for top 4.
Yeah.
It's just we're putting them at 7 because we think they only have 2 guys.
Yeah. Hey, Al Horford hasn't played basketball in like how long? Because he sat out the whatever last couple months. Season. That was really weird. So maybe he's a little rejuvenated. But we'll see. Yeah. Okay, so the team that finished as the 8th seed last year also underwent a couple of big changes. The Washington Wizards, obviously Russell Westbrook was traded to the Lakers for Kyle Kuzma and KCP.
Yeah.
And Montrezl Harrell, obviously. They signed Spencer Dinwiddie. So now they're looking at Spencer Dinwiddie and Bradley Beal in the backcourt with Kuzma and Hachimura, and probably Thomas Bryant as the front court. Daniel Gafford as the backup big man. Bertans, he still got in there. KCP, Raul Neto, Aaron Holiday, they brought him in. They drafted Corey Kispert.
They're super deep.
They have a lot of guys there.
So this is their projected starting lineup. It's Spencer Dinwiddie, Bradley Beal, KCP at the 3 just for defense and shooting. Rui Hachimura, who's considered like the big 3, the guy who's supposed to take a huge leap at the 4. Daniel Gafford starting at the 5 spot because Thomas Bryant is injured till around December. Okay. So Daniel Gafford is going to start the season. And then their bench is expected to be Aaron Holiday as the backup 1, Denny as the backup 2, Corey Kispert, someone they drafted who's a sniper and ready to play day 1 as their backup 3, Kuzma as the backup 4, and Montrezl Harrell as the backup 5. And then that's leaving out guys like Davis Bertans, who's making 17 million, not in the rotation. He probably won't get some minutes. And a solid player in Raul Neto, who's definitely going to give you some dimes, give you some solid minutes. So they're like 12 deep right now. And once Thomas Bryant returns, they're going to be 13 deep. And they're like the complete opposite of the Wizards of last year, where they're just like 2 guys doing everything. Now they got a team around Beal. They got playmaking, they got defense, they got a team. They got some bench scoring, a bench offense. They got a new coach who can actually run plays and sets. So I'm interested to see how it goes. Beal's willing to give them a little, 1 season. So I think we should all be optimistic and give them 1 season to see how they do too.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting team, very fun team. Kyle Kuzma was talking up, saying that he thinks he can be a Jason Tatum level player. This is his chance to prove it, step up and be the second best player on the team behind Bradley Beal. Let's see it. Daniel Gafford was pretty big for them last year. He was very good for them. Corey Kispert, who we obviously both liked out of the draft, sniper, like you said, he's ready to go right now to play in the NBA. Just so many options. They can withstand some injuries too because they're so deep. Definitely going to be a fun team, but again, the East is so loaded now that it's going to be tough to crack the top 6. Yeah,
this is probably a play-in team, which has potential to top 6 too. I don't think anyone's going to put him top 6, like top 6. But we just listed all those players. If like Spencer Dinwiddie's back 100%, if Kuzma's playing, pre-LeBron like where he's scoring like 18 points a game, Montrezl Harrell is scoring pre-LeBron like where he was winning like 6th man of the year. Like this team has chances, right? And if Bertans was playing like his contract year where he was just sniping, like this team has chances. They have a lot of opportunity. I don't expect to see Bradley Beal scoring 30 now because I feel he's going to try to get a lot of people involved. A lot of the shooters open now. KCP's defense is going to be huge. He's an amazing defender, and he's going to be a big improvement at that 3 spot for defense, moving Denny to the bench. Man, this team's interesting. I think a lot of people are underwriting them, just putting them at 11 or whatever. They have potential for 6, and obviously they're still going to be a playing team at the worst.
Yeah, they're a respectable team at the absolute worst. And I think probably more than that. They're better than a lot of teams that that are down there in the East. Okay, so on to the next team, which finishes the 9th seed last year, the Indiana Pacers. Not too much going on here. I don't think we need to say too much about them. Pretty much running out the same lineup. They re-signed TJ McConnell.
Yeah.
Drafted Chris Duarte. Brought in Torrey Craig. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, they're running out the same lineup, but they're all healthy now. So that's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
Brogdon's healthy at the 1, Levert at the 2, Warren at the 3, Sabonis at the 4, Miles Turner at the 5, and then a bench of TJ McConnell, Jeremy Lamb, as you said, Durote they drafted, Gogo Biazza, our guy O'Shea Brisket, Toronto native. He was playing huge for them. So they have a solid bench. They have a solid 5-man starting lineup where everyone could drop 20 points. So this team is in the same realm as the Wizards, where they can be top 6 if they're all healthy, but they can also be a playing team again with the 10th seed. If an injury here or there pops up. But yeah, they're like the Wizards, respectable, but the East is just so good that we're gonna have them at a play-in 9.
Yeah,
but they could easily hop into the top 6.
Yeah. If the season doesn't go that way, if they are towards the bottom 11, 12 of the East somehow, could we see a Sabonis trade? Could we see a Miles Turner trade? Maybe a Brogdon trade? Because those are nicely sized contracts that can be pieced together, and a lot of teams would really love to have those guys.
Yeah, they were in the rumors for Ben Simmons. They offered basically Durote and Brogdon for Ben Simmons. Look out for them getting Ben Simmons. The thing is, they have 2 bigs, so one of them would probably, I don't know how they would have to work. It'll be a 3-team trade. It'll be a huge trade.
Yeah.
I kind of see just them as a next offseason team. I feel that's when they make their big moves. They want to give this team a full year, fully healthy, with a new coach and everything. So, yeah, they really blamed heavy on and last time. They the whole everyone hated him. All the players, all the coaches there, even in the front office, they all hated him. So they're kind of just being injuries plus a hated head coach. Let's run it back, see how good we are.
Yeah, I think so. On to one of everyone's favorite teams, the Charlotte Hornets. Another year of LaMelo Ball, another year of Terry Rozier. Gordon Hayward hopefully plays the whole season healthy. PJ Washington, who improved last year. They brought in Mason Plumlee. I guess he's their starting 5 now. You got PJ Washington off the bench. They brought in Kelly Oubre. Obviously they still got Bridges. I guess Book the biggest thing is that Bouknight, who I think we both like. The biggest thing is that they lost Devontae Graham to the Pelicans. And also
Malik Monk.
And they lost Malik Monk to the Lakers. But other than that, the core is still there. And another team that's going to be around the 7, 8, 9, maybe 10, unfortunately. But that's probably what they're looking at.
Yeah, so now they got LaMelo and Rozier, one of the best backcourts last year, back together. They still have a solid backup backcourt. They lost their backup backcourt last year, Graham and Monk, which was amazing. They signed Ish Smith, and now they drafted Bouknight. That's still going to be a good backcourt. They have Gordon Hayward at the 3, played amazing, and they have a really, really, really good Gordon Hayward injury in case, and Kelly Oubre, who's going to be a solid bench player, solid 6-man of the year contender. And if he starts, if Gordon Hayward's injured, he's going to be solid there too. They're going to probably start Bridges there because he improved so much and has such good chemistry with LaMelo. Then moves PJ to the backup 4/5. And then they're going to start Mason Plumlee. I don't think Vernon Carey or Kai Jones is going to get minutes.
Yeah.
The first year, I think PJ Washington is going to take up that backup center minutes. But they're running a 9-man rotation. That rotation looks good, looks deep. It's very exciting. They're going to close with PJ at the 5 over Plumlee, and that's going to be really exciting too, where it's very switchable. But yeah, it's going to be a very fun team. It's going to be a team that everyone cheers for like it was last year. It's going to be a team that we see all over ESPN like it was last year. So we're going to see it a lot. We're going to have a lot of nationally televised games, I think. It's going to be a fun team to see, but they're going to be just like the Wizards, just like the Pacers, in that tier of could be top 6, but we're predicting play-in.
Yes, and if it weren't for the play-in, thank God for the play-in because that makes the bottom of the East race almost as exciting as like the top of the East. But that was that was a really good point you brought up there because their secret sauce, their secret weapon is that small lineup.
Yeah,
they ran that 3-guard lineup with Devontae Graham, which was deadly last year. But LaMelo, Rozier, Gordon Hayward, and then probably Bridges and PJ Washington or maybe Oubre in there. That's a deadly 5-man small lineup that everyone can shoot, everyone can play make, everyone can attack. Really, really, really exciting, and will definitely be one of the most watched teams. The center is definitely their weakness, like you said. Plumlee's probably going to start, probably not close. Kai Jones and Vernon Carey, two guys that we both really like. We loved Carey in the draft last year. We liked Kai Jones this year. They're not ready yet to play real minutes, probably looking at the G League, but who knows? Maybe in 2-3 years, they're running there with LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, Kai Jones is athletic enough to catch all those lobs, so it'll be fun to see.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it's time to talk about the team that we're probably most excited to talk about, the team that improved the most in the East, bringing in our guy DeMar DeRozan after bringing in Lonzo Ball, obviously having Zach LaVine there still with Vucevic, the Chicago Bulls. How much better are they going to be this year?
So we were talking about this last night when we just saw that graphic. Lonzo Ball has more 10 double-digit assist games since he's been drafted than any Chicago Bulls player, like all of the Chicago Bulls players combined.
Yeah.
So that just shows how much improvement they're getting on the playmaking end. The starting backcourt is going to be Lonzo and LaVine. The bench backcourt is going to be Caruso and Kobe White. Kobe White will be like the shooting guard, but Caruso will guard obviously the bigger guard because he's bigger. Caruso was a good signing pickup with them. The starting forwards are going to be DeMar DeRozan and Patrick Williams. The backup forwards is what I think they're lacking. I think they could use some pickups there. The starting center is obviously the one they traded for Vucevic, and they picked up a solid backup center too in Tony Bradley. So I really like that as well, and they're going to be good. They have Troy Brown. I forgot to mention him. He's probably going to be the backup small forward. He's really solid, and that's going to be their 9-man rotation.
Yeah, I agree with you that the front court is probably the depth in the front court is their biggest weakness. Especially we don't know what's going to be going on with Lowry Markkanen. They don't really have him on the roster right now. But offensively, man, watching this team play together, like these guys are all very good players, stars, all-star caliber players, but they fit together so well because Lonzo Ball is not going to want to score. He'll be okay scoring 8 points a game, right? Just hitting a couple of threes.
Yeah.
Dishing out 10, 12 assists. LaVine is going to be the one. Vucevic is going to be the 2. And I guess DeMar DeRozan is the 3rd option. We've never seen that before, right? Like this team is going to be so much fun with Caruso off the bench, who's a great playoff player. Kobe White off the bench. Patrick Williams, who showed really good defense as a rookie last year in playmaking. This team is going to be really fun. How much defense they play is going to be a question mark all year. Like DeMar DeRozan, we know Zach LaVine. Lonzo Ball is awesome. Vucevic isn't a rim protector too much or anything like that. Neither is Kobe White's not a great defender. But I think they have enough good defensive players there with Patrick Williams and Lonzo Ball, and if they can play some good team defense together, finally winning some games, everyone buying in, this could definitely be a top 6 team in the East.
Yeah, and their defense, they're 12th last year. It's not like they were bottom of the league, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, losing Thad Young is going to hurt, but adding Lonzo Ball is going to help. So, yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Their backup small forward is Troy Brown Jr., some guy we like. He could play defense, shoot threes. We liked him a little bit. So as long as they get a backup 4, whether that be re-sign Lowry or trade him just to clear up the cap to sign a backup 4, like a Paul Millsap who's still out there, who's available for a minimum. So yeah, get one of those guys in there, and this team is going to be competing for a top 4. Like I think this team is right there with the Sixers, with the Hawks, with the 76ers, with the Knicks, like competing for that 4, 5, 6 spot. I don't think he's there with the top 3 spot with the Heat, Bucks, and Nets. I don't think he's there with but they're in that 4th range. I expect them to win a playoff series because that's how good their offense is. And people are going to be, Lonzo is their fast break playmaker, and then DeMar DeRozan is their half court playmaker. And the fact that Zach LaVine has 2 playmakers now that are that good, has a center in Vucevic that can also play make, his efficiency is going to be through the roof. He's already a great stats guy, efficiency-wise, advanced stats guy, whatever. But now it's going to be through the roof. And, man, this team's going to be really fun to watch.
This team is going to be insane. League Pass, just watching games around the league, random games, this is going to be probably my most watched team. Like, just to see DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball with Zach LaVine, like, the amount of scoring firepower on this team, they can have 2 guys having off nights and still like put up 120 points, right? Like the team is going to be so fun to watch, and they're in like the top tier in the East is the Bucks, Nets, and Hawks. The Bucks, Nets, and Heat. But they're in the second tier for sure with the Hawks and the Sixers. Knicks. I might even put them ahead of the Sixers, like if I were in a playoff series. Like that would be an awesome playoff series. The Bulls and the Sixers.
That'd be all awesome. Defense, no shooting. 76ers versus all offense, all fancy. The Bulls. It'll be really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And man, it's just good to have the Bulls be good again. They were like such a big franchise with so much fans. Like the fired Garpax thing worked successfully. They finally have a good coach that we all like, and they're just back, man. They're just back and exciting. And the Patrick Williams draft, a lot of analysts were giving him a lot of like stuff for drafting him so early, but his defense and his fit and his potential improvement shows that why those guys are just analysts and not in the front office.
Yeah, totally well said. And he fits so perfectly into this team. I'm just so happy for DeMar DeRozan that he got his bag, but he's also on a team that's gonna like showcase just how good he is. We're gonna see him win. He's doesn't have the pressure of being the first option, not even the second option. Like this is just a perfect situation.
And we just seen a team in the Suns where a couple injuries happen here, boom, boom, and then they're in the finals, right? I'm not saying they're going to be a finals bound team, but I'm saying if injuries like the Suns happen to them, where LeBron was 100%, AD was 100%, top two options were 100%. The second round team, Duncan's reversing, they're missing their second option. The team you're missing with Kawhi Leonard, they're missing their first option, right? If like all those injuries happen to them, this could be another finals team competing for a championship. So they're that good, man. They're hugely improved.
Yeah, they're that good, and they're also like, this is not just a 1 year window, right? Because DeMar's on a 3 year. Lonzo, what was his 4 years?
4 years. 4 years. 5 years.
Yeah, they're gonna have to re-sign Levine, but they will, and they should.
Yeah.
Just like kudos to the front office.
Congratulations.
Panicking when everyone was calling for them to blow it up. They just kind of stayed the course, drafted the guys that they felt good about, and now they have a really, 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 really good team. Speaking of front offices, and I don't know, that wasn't a very good segue, but the Raptors, our team. I guess we got to talk about them next. I don't really know where I am at with this team. We obviously lost Kyle Lowry, brought in Dragic and Achua. I'm happy about Achua. I'm excited for him. Got that Nigerian connection with Masai Ujiri. But Dragic apparently doesn't want to report to Toronto. I don't know. We re-signed Gary Trent Jr. Obviously, Siakam's going to miss the first 2 months. Our centers, Ken Birch, we missed out on all the centers we wanted. I don't know. Scotty Barnes scored 18 points and hit a 3 with 6 assists and 10 boards in his summer league debut. I don't know, but then again, LiAngelo Ball went off in summer league too. So how much does that really mean?
Don't overreact to one summer league game, but it shows that he's working on his game. It shows that he's willing to shoot the 3, unlike Ben Simmons. So it's not a Ben Simmons type situation. This kid is going to put in the work, and those Raptors, those rookie days like video, and he's always in the gym working. He loves the city, which the people in the city love, because there's people like Dragic who don't want to come to Canada. So when a young player like Scotty Barnes embraces the city, comes here, loves it, like we love it as well. Because obviously someone like Birch is going to love the city because he's born in Montreal. He's a Canadian, right? He after he signed his big contract, he went and threw out the first pitch for the Blue Jays against the Red Sox. Yeah, like obviously he's going to get a lot of love, and he's going to love the city because he is Canadian. But seeing an American kid, a highly touted American kid, high prospect, be so happy that we drafted him and be willing to put in the work, it's great news. One thing we had to talk about is those Siakam trade rumors that are going. Kind of the only thing in the offseason right now is Dennis Schroeder signing Siakam and Ben Simmons trade rumors. I don't think the Kings are going to get him because they're not going to offer Halliburton or Fox, and they shouldn't offer Halliburton or Fox. The Warriors seem like they want to see what their guys are like before they trade them. So, I don't see that trade happening, but a lot of people are. It's a lot of rumors.
Yeah, there was a report. It was the Kings, the Warriors, and there was one other team, which
Clippers.
And the Clippers were quote unquote enamored with Pascal Siakam. Fred VanVleet responded to the tweet saying, "Me too."
Me too. Yeah.
So I don't know what that means. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Like you said, I don't think it's imminent. Looking at the team we have now, it's going to come down to basically in-house improvement. Malachi Flynn, how much of a jump we're going to see? Is he going to be like he might need to be playing some backup point guard, like a lot of backup point guard minutes if Dragic doesn't report. Like, I don't know what's going on there. Scotty Barnes is probably, is it going to be him starting at the 4 to start the season, or is it going to be Boucher? Like, what do you think?
I think he's going to be starting at the 4 to start the season. But I think he's going to be a natural backup small forward for this year. I think they're going to run the leader of the Raptors, the new leader of the Raptors, Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Kem Birch, and then the bench is going to be Flynn, Dragic if he decides to stay, Scotty Barnes, Boucher, and Precious Achiuwa. And if Dragic doesn't stay, Utah Anunoby is probably going to enter that backup shooting guard spot. But yeah, and until Siakam does return, Scotty will move to the starting 4, and Utah will move into the backup small forward. So that's going to be the team. It's a bunch of grinders, it's a bunch of defensive guys, but we know Freddie's going to be a 20-point scorer. He was 19.6 last year. He's going to have so much more shots. We know he's going to be a 20-point scorer. It's just, can you alleviate the offense around him so he can have good percentages? And that's going to be up to Gary Trent Jr. and OG Anunoby. Can OG score like he was to end the season? Can Gary Trent Jr. be consistent, score consistent 20 every game instead of 37, 8, 37, 8? So can those guys be consistent? And yeah, it's just a lot of question marks that no one knows the answer until they start playing.
Yeah. That's well said. Looking at the roster, like the big man depth is not as bad as I initially
thought.
Last
year. Yeah.
Kem Birch, as
Solid.
kind of unexciting as he is, he's solid. Chris Boucher is kind of the opposite. He's very exciting, but not the most reliable guy that you want to throw out there. Precious, I think we both liked what we saw from him last year, and a guy with a lot of potential. Really happy to have him on the team. But
and you have Gilly there too. Someone who could just run, grab a bunch of rebounds, get some easy layups, and just having that guy as someone who's not even in the rotation, just means if an injury happens, or if Boucher's having the worst shooting night, or Precious having the worst shooting night of the career, you could just plug in this high energy guy to just do the bare minimum, set really good picks, drive really hard to the rim, catch lobs, because he had some really highlight hustle plays last season, which really motivated the team and made everyone feel better. This is basically the OG Anunoby season.
Yeah, exactly, because that's what it comes down to. We know what we're getting from Fred. We don't really know what we're getting from Pascal this season. When he does come back, he's gonna have spent this whole offseason watching film, so maybe the mental part of the game is better for him because some of that anticipation. So who knows? Obviously going to be exciting to watch Scotty Barnes and Gary Trent and Malachi Flynn and Precious, these young guys. But OG Anunoby showed signs of being a 20-point scorer consistently last year towards the end of the last 2-3 months. If he can continue that, he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot more this year. Then we're talking about a team that's maybe on par with the Hornets and the
Wizards,
maybe even the Celtics, because we know this team is going to play together well and grind defensively. So it's still going to be a fun season to watch, but there are no playoff prospects whatsoever for this team.
Yeah, it's don't set you up to get disappointed. Set yourself up to be happily pleased or happily excited. Freddie did mention they're a top 4 seed before COVID hit them, and I do really think people underestimate how big of an effect COVID had on Pascal Siakam, because he lost 15 pounds and then he had that shoulder injury that he played through, which just cost him 8 months. So now the man getting his conditioning back, getting his weight back of plus 15 pounds, and getting a fully healthy shoulder. And then you're playing in Toronto. He's someone who feeds off fans and feeds off that energy. So finally playing in front of fans, every stadium's going to have fans now. So finally playing in front of fans, all that energy, this is going to be a bounce back year. And he averaged 7 rebounds and 5 assists, right? And he's going to bounce back to a much greater season. So that's why the trade value is so high. We see some Kings fans offering some crazy stuff like badly healed and a protected first. Like, no, that's never gonna get accepted. Like, it's gonna be a superstar haul because this guy is a superstar because he lost 15 pounds due to COVID and had a torn shoulder, which required 9 months of recovery time, and still dropped 21, 7, and 5.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say the second half of the season was probably better than the first half. Look, obviously not counting the COVID stuff, but yeah, that's definitely a really good point. We don't know. Like, he lost 15 pounds. Like, that's crazy in the middle of an NBA season. Like, that obviously affected him, and he still dropped 21. So we'll see with the film watching improvement, with the time off, whatever, to clear his head, all that stuff, gain the way back. Definitely expecting an improved season, maybe even a better season than the one 2 years ago. Like, maybe.
Yeah, and we're gonna have these players around him improving too, right? OG, Gary Trent, Freddie. Yeah. So he's gonna come back to a team that's confident and just adding like a really good guy. So it's gonna be good to see. It's gonna be tough until Pascal Siakam returns.
Yeah.
But once he does, this team could go on a couple runs.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's kind of go through the bottom three in the East here pretty quickly. The Cleveland Cavaliers, obviously drafting Evan Mobley. Really good pick for them. Still running that backcourt back of Garland and Sexton for now, at least. They obviously brought back Jared Allen, the guy that we wanted. So that's a really solid move. Anything else to say about this team? Good. They're going to be near the bottom again, but they're going to be more fun than last year.
Yeah, the whole starting five is super young. Like, the whole starting five is Garland, Sexton, Isaac Okoro, Mobley at the 4, and Jared Allen. But everyone's like, under 25 there?
Yeah.
So yeah, this team's going to be super, super young, and expect them to be great 2 years from now, just not this year.
Yeah. Totally agree. I don't think you need to say anything else. Orlando Magic.
Worst team
took Jalen Suggs, probably the worst team in the league. They're looking at is Fultz gonna be back day one? Do we know that?
I'm not sure, but let's just assume he is. So we have Fultz, Suggs, Isaac. Who you think they start Wagner at the 4, and then run Mo Bamba at the 5? Then they have a bench of Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton, Chumo Okuki, Wendell Carter Jr. And Terrence Ross. That's everyone there besides Terrence Ross is under 25.
They brought in Robin Lopez too, who's going to play some center minutes for sure.
Yeah, in case one of those guys get hurt, you'll definitely play some center minutes. But man, they're just super young. Everyone I named is under 25 besides Terrence Ross.
Yeah.
So you're going to be the worst team in the league, but you can have a lot of fun. And Jalen Suggs is probably going to be competing for Rookie of the Year because he's that good.
Yeah, agreed. As much as I wanted Jalen Suggs, like, I'm happy with Scotty Barnes now. I really wanted Jalen Suggs. And he's going to be so good for this team with the big backcourt of him and Fultz. Terrence Ross is reliable. He's going to be a guy they can trade at the deadline. Wendell Carter Jr., young, Mo Bamba, young, Franz Wagner, who we both like, young, RJ Hampton, young. They have a lot of young guys. They're going to suck this year, but they're going to be fun. And it's been a while since the Magic were fun, when they just had like 10 guys over 6'9" that couldn't shoot and couldn't really play together. It's going to be interesting to see who emerges as the top guys on this team. Does Cole Anthony or Jalen Suggs or Fultz emerge as like the top guy on this team? It's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, and watch out for a Jonathan Isaac trade too, because he's 25, which might not fit this team's timeline. They're that young, right?
Yeah.
So watch out for Isaac trade, because he could get a huge package back, huge package back.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason. I'm not saying like they're shopping him, but I'm saying if a huge package is offered, it might happen. I don't think it will happen, but I'm just saying, watch out for it.
Yeah. On to another young team, the Pistons. Obviously drafting Cade Cunningham first overall. Very, very young, with Killian Hayes and also in the backcourt there. Sadiq Bey. Jeremy Grant's not old, and he scored 22 points a game last year. Isaiah Stewart. Josh Jackson. They brought in Kelly Olynyk. Fun team, very young. Going to be fun to watch on League Pass with Cade Cunningham, but they're not going to be winning too many games.
Yeah, people expect them to be like really good, and I get it. They could compete like the Hornets, kind of jump up there, kind of be like that 12th team. We just don't expect that. We just expect the East improve so much. It's not like last year, so they're not going to be in a playing spot, but they're really good. Like already, they're going to be a good team. And if they're in a weaker Eastern Conference, like last year or the year before, they would have been in that playing spot. But this year, the East improved so much. But Killian Hayes, Cade Cunningham, Sadiq Bey as your 1-3, kind of like fluid. And then your 4 being Grant and your 5 being Kelly Olynyk for now.
Yeah.
And then you're having a bench of Corey Joseph, Isaiah Stewart, Josh Jackson, Sekou Doumbia, solid. Everyone's young. It's going to be a fun team to watch. And Kate Cunningham's going to win Rookie of the Year. We both have him winning it.
Yeah.
And the people overreacting off of one game of Summer League. Also have to remember Tim Duncan had a horrible game of Summer League and then had probably the best rookie year of all time.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah. Pretty much like the East is very interesting because while there are bad teams, there aren't too many bad teams. There's only two like truly teams that are going to be very bad, but they're still going to be fun to watch, right? Like the East is going to be really exciting this year, I think.
For sure. It's not Eastern Conference anymore. I think they're probably pretty on par.
I'm with you on that. All right, let's move on to the West. We'll start at the top again. Utah Jazz, pretty much running it back. Mike Conley, they re-signed. They traded away Derrick Favors. They brought in Hassan Whiteside. Other than that, they're pretty much running it back. Going to be a top 4 team in the West again. Probably top five at worst.
Top 4, top 5. Yeah. They could even be 1 again because they're that good regular season wise. They're just bombers. Rudy Gobert is a 3-time defensive player of the year. Donovan Mitchell's going to keep improving. Mike Conley's on a good contract. Bogdanovich is a good player. Royce O'Neal is a great offensive, great defensive player. But Joe Ingles off the bench is a great offensive player. Jordan Clarkson's the reigning 6th man of the year. They won a lot of awards last year. Yeah, and they're really good. With a healthy Donovan Mitchell, they probably would have made the finals, in my opinion. Yeah, but he wasn't 100%. Is what it is. You move on, you learn, you improve. Please don't trade Joe Ingles. I see those trade rumors everywhere. Hopefully, it's teams inquiring about Joe Ingles and not you guys shopping him because he's great and he's probably 2nd and 6th man of the year last year. So keep him on there.
Yeah, exactly. Just continuity is a very underrated thing in the NBA, and this team will be in the playoffs again. Probably will win at least the playoff series. Rudy Gobert just can't get away from heartbreaking loss. Finals, gold medal game lost to Team USA. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe that'll be good for him.
At least got a silver. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Phoenix Suns coming off a finals loss. Pretty much again, just running it back, right? Like they re-signed Chris Paul. JaVale McGee. Big deal. They brought in JaVale McGee. I don't know. Maybe there's some more improvement from Mikal Bridges.
Landry Shamet.
That's true. Yeah, Landry Shamet. They re-signed Campaign. They did everything I think that they really could do in their power to and should do to assure another deep playoff run. And assuming health, which is kind of a theme right now in the NBA, assuming health, I think they'll be right back in the mix.
Yeah, and they're going to expect huge improvement from DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. So they have all those young guys and Devin Booker. Devin Booker is really young if people don't realize.
24.
Yeah. So he's incredibly young. They're going to run it back. They're going to be another top 4 team. And they're going to probably be another like 2nd round conference finals teams, potential finals teams. So watch out for the Suns.
Yeah, agreed. Going on to our second favorite team behind the Raptors, the Denver Nuggets. Obviously going to be without Jamal Murray for the beginning of the season. But I think this team is talented enough to get it definitely into the playoffs.
Top worst 4 case, probably. So
probably top 5 to 4. Exactly the same team, really, except they brought in Jeff Green, which is a nice addition. But the biggest question, obviously, is going to be that point guard position. Probably Monte Morris starting at the point guard. As much as I love this team, and I think they could be true championship contenders when Murray does come back.
Yeah.
What's that first part of the season up to around the All-Star break going to look like for them?
People underestimated Monte Morris so much, and like how much him and Will Barton not being 100% and PJ Dozier not playing impacted this team. Because now you just didn't lose Jamal Murray. You lost all those guys, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it looked so depleted. But now all those guys, besides Jamal Murray, is returning. Jamal Murray's already in the gym. We see him working out, so that's going to be great. Monte Morris, Will Barton, MPJ, who's going to have a most improved type season.
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon, who's finally have a full year under Jokic, Jokic's system, so he's going to be playing a lot better. Jokic coming off MVP. He's going to be in contention for MVP again. Now they have Jeff Green as their backup center. Nice mobile, small ball center. just get some minutes behind Jokic. They still have JaMychal Green, solid power forward, one of the best bench pieces in the league. They still have our guy Composo, who had a great Olympics, who's played great, good defender, good playmaker, solid off the bench. PJ Dozier is going to provide them solid minutes as well. Man, they're a top 4 team.
Yeah.
Without Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
And then you add Jamal Murray onto them, they're championship contenders. That's how good they are. This team's amazingly built. Great coaches, great MVP, great team. And that's why we like cheering for them, man, because even though they have an MVP, there's still such a team feel around them that it's great to be like a fan of them.
Yeah, they are so talented, but they also have so much chemistry and continuity that they're going to be able to outplay expectations better than they are on paper. One thing I am wondering is, with no true backup center, like JaVale McGee is gone.
Yeah.
I guess like Jeff Green is like the backup center. I don't know.
Center.
Is there going to be a Bull sighting this year? Like, is he going to play a little bit?
Well, what we saw with Jokic is, man, he just played so much minutes.
Yeah.
Like, he's such a beast. He just played so much minutes that I think, Green and Jeff, Green and Green. I was gonna say Green and Green, but Jeff Green and JaMychal Green. They should just be enough for the centers. And they also have, correct me if Aaron Gordon can play some small ball center too. He should be good.
Yeah,
they also
that's
have
a good point.
Zeke Nnaji, who's power forward, who's 6'9", who can play some center minutes. They also have Bol, obviously. Vlato Kankar, he can also play some backup center minutes. So they have a committee of backup centers, but Jokic is going to play like 40 minutes a game. So it's not that big of a deal.
I'm just hoping we see like 8 Bull minutes a game. He's
hopefully
playing in his 3rd straight summer league, I think it is this year, going off like he always does in summer league. I just hope we see a little bit of him this year.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, on to the Clippers. Again, another team just kind of running it back. They brought in Reggie Jackson on a pretty hefty deal. Good for him. He deserves it from what he did last year. Obviously, Paul George, Nick Batum, Kawhi Leonard finally decided to resign. Hopefully, with a healthy Serge Ibaka back, this team is going to be a top 4 team in the West and should be.
You think without a Kawhi Leonard, they could be top 4? I think this is the team that drops, in that 8 range, while the Warriors obviously shoot up. I think that Kawhi Leonard being out until playoffs, maybe he sits out the year. I think he'll come back.
Is he going to be out to the playoffs? I was assuming he's going to be ready to go. Like, it wasn't an ACL tear. It was just an ACL like injury or sprain. Did I miss something?
All the reports that I'm seeing are like people trying to project their lineups. They all have the Clippers really low because they said Kawhi's not playing. So I don't know if no reports came out yet, but I think Kawhi Leonard is going to miss a good chunk of this first start of the season, and that's why they brought on Winslow, to kind of Man's can obviously stop into a starting small forward start position, and Winslow's kind of trying to step into Man's spot. But yeah, man, they're going to struggle a little bit with no Kawhi.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Their goal is to make the playoffs, get Kawhi in, and then try to be like an 8 seed champion or a 6 seed champion because Kawhi's that good. But their goal is just to make the playoffs.
I don't know if I missed something. I just assumed he was going to be back because he obviously missed the whole conference finals, but every game was like, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? He seemed like a game time decision every game. So I was just assuming he was going to be back, start of the season, but maybe not. And if that's true, then yeah, this team will be fighting to get into the playoffs. If they do, maybe they make some noise. Who knows? That's probably why they brought in Winslow. And you're right. Warriors are probably gonna shoot up, and they're probably gonna shoot down. Yeah.
But this is gonna be one of those teams that you want to not play in the first round because they're gonna be crazy. And this is the Paul George year, Paul George MVP year. Like if they're able to keep top 4 and Paul George is just balling out, which we've seen him do so many times, he could be definitely in that conversation. They still have a lineup of Reggie Jackson, followed by Patrick Beverley, Terrence Mann, followed by Justice Winslow, Paul George, Marcus Morris, Serge Ibaka, Zubac, Luke Kennard. They have a solid team with a lot of depth. They also have Keon Johnson, one of our guys, one of our favorite rookies. So yeah, they're still going to be good. Still going to be a playoff team. It's probably that 6 to 8 range. And when Kawhi returns, they're probably going to be championship contenders. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe what I should have said is that they're a top 4 caliber team in the East, like when fully healthy, but you're right, they probably won't be there. It's good for our Nuggets at least. Yeah.
Okay, so a team that I'm hoping is better this year and does reach the top four is the Dallas Mavericks. I don't know if that's going to happen though, because they obviously just re-signed Luka to a 4-year 207. Is that what it was? That's
huge 5-year 207.
5-year 207.
Yeah.
My bad. They brought back
Yeah.
Tim Hardaway Jr., something they needed to do. But as a result, they have no money left. They're all kind of salary capped out.
They spent their $10 million a year on Reggie Bullock. That was their big signing, 3 for 30,
Yeah.
10 per. He's a good shooter. He's got good size, and he'll probably be their starter for them. Like him, Tim Hardaway Jr., Luka, Porzingis, and Maxi Kleber. And all he could shoot team, run and gun. That's kind of the Dallas Mavericks system. But they're improved, but they probably improved like the least, on level with the rest of the league, right? So they're probably still going to be like a 5th, 6th seed.
Very marginal improvement. And we saw Luka do his best to carry them on his back against the Clippers.
Almost
didn't happen. He needs a second star. He needs his $30 million guy. Porzingis to step up. I'm getting closer and closer every day to giving up on that. At least they brought in our guy Moses Brown. Maybe he's the savior of this team.
Maybe he is named Moses. He has a chance. They do have a lot of centers though, so I don't think this team is done. Obviously, Dragic said he wants to play for this team.
Yeah.
We like Dwight Powell because he's Canadian. So if they could get that like rotating or starting to happen, they get that Dragic and that Slovenian connection, and we could get our Canadian guy. So hey, we don't know. This team kind of just ran it back with Reggie Bullock, so we kind of have him in the same spot.
That's a very good point because Willie Cauley-Stein, Moses Brown, and Boban with Porzingis, you don't need that many big guys, centers, right? So what they really need is another guard. So perfect trade, Dragic. We get the center rotation of Canadian Khem Birch, Canadian Dwight Powell, and Canadian Chris Boucher.
Yeah.
That would be pretty crazy.
Just getting as much Canadians as we can on the team, especially our Canadians. Our second pick was also Canadian, so we're gonna have a lot of Canadians on the team. It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be very fun to watch. And man, there's nothing really much to say about Dallas except hopefully they make a trade like that for Dragic.
Yeah.
And hopefully they get a little more depth, and hopefully Luka just gets that help to make a deep playoff run.
Yeah, and no one's trading for Porzingis right now, right? Like there's no trade out there.
Yeah, they offered Porzingis. Trades were offered as like a salary dump.
Yeah,
but obviously they don't want to salary dump. That's what that means because Aaron Baines' non-guaranteed contract. What else? Like Rodney Hood's non-guaranteed contract or whatever was offered, so they could just waive everyone and kind of just get off his contract money. But they don't want that. They wanted to keep him, and obviously Porzingis weren't able to land. Raptors didn't want to give any assets to get him, so that trade didn't happen. But yeah, Porzingis is staying on that team.
Yeah. Let's just hope he improves. Okay, on to a team that I can never really quite predict preseason. The Portland Trail Blazers, a team that's always riddled by injuries, but they brought back Norman Powell on a very affordable deal, which the Raptors could have given him if they didn't trade him, but it is what it is. So they're looking at a very fun offensive team with the backcourt of Lillard, McCollum, and a 3-man backcourt, I guess, of Powell. Still with Covington, Nurkic, Anthony Simons off the bench. This is not a very improved team, and probably not looking at making too much noise.
They lost Zach Collins, who played 0 minutes for them.
Yeah.
They swapped Enes Kanter for Cody Zeller. They lost Carmelo Anthony, who was actually pretty solid for them. So that's actually an underrated loss by them.
Yeah.
They got back Norman Powell. They re-signed it. They kept Covington, kept CJ, kept Nurkic, kept Dame. So yeah, this team is identical, and they're probably gonna drop because the league improved. Like they're gonna get worse.
Exactly. They didn't get any worse, but
they're gonna drop in the standings because the league improved. So is what it is. Sucks for them. If they're not in a win now move, Dame is gone next year probably.
Yeah, it's like if he does end up requesting a trade, like he did his part and tried to be the franchise guy, for how long, and it's probably time next year if they're winning.
I think they should go throw all their picks to the Raptors and really go for Siakam, but like they're not doing a CJ swap. Like we don't want a 30-year-old shooter going, right? Like he doesn't fit our timeline. But if you throw all your picks, kind of like how the Nets got Harden, we just throw every pick swap, every pick unprotected and stuff like that. You could get Siakam, right?
Yeah,
So
totally.
go do that. Go win now, because if you don't do that, game's gone.
Yeah, it's a good point. Okay, the Lakers, they didn't really do anything. Oh wait, no, they got Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, they got everything. Yeah.
And they got Russell Westbrook, and they brought in Carmelo Anthony. Very underrated loss for the Blazers, and a bunch of guys who could have gotten a lot more money came to the Lakers for pretty low amounts of money. Kendrick Nunn, probably the most notable. Malik Monk, they re-signed. Did they re-sign THT yet?
Yeah, they re-signed him.
They re-signed THT. They brought in Wayne Ellington. It's looking like a pretty good team. Fit and rotations are going to be a question, but with that amount of talent, you got the whole season to figure it out. And healthy guys, they should. I'm not going to say finals lock, but conference
they
finals
should be.
Lock. Yeah.
They're probably second in yours and mine championship odds.
Yeah.
They're past the champions, Bucks, who are third, and they're right below what we think is the best team, the Brooklyn Nets. I have a starting lineup of Russell Westbrook, Wayne Ellington, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Dwight Howard, with a bench of Kendrick Nunn, Malik Monk, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Trevor Ariza / Melo at the 4, and Marc Gasol. Also, you have to shout out Kent Bazemore is also there. He's also going to get some minutes as well. But yeah, this team is going to have those guys all there. Obviously, Dwight Howard is not going to play a lot of minutes just because he's starting. He's just starting there to start. Anthony Davis will play a lot of center minutes. He will move there. That's where like Melo will come in at the 4. LeBron will move to the 4, and Malik Monk will come to the 2, and Wayne Ellington will move to the 3. They just have so much to do. But people underestimate their young guys because they can run like Kendrick Nunn, Malik Monk, and Taylor Horton-Tucker could win you games.
Yeah.
They're just that explosive, and they're like that like microwave type scorers that they could get you like 20 a night, like randomly, not consistently. They're gonna help this team, and we didn't even mention Russell Westbrook and his play. Like that's how much talent this team has.
Yeah.
And Westbrook's gonna go off too. He's finally has LeBron, AD. He's gonna be amazing. This is an amazing team, man. That's why the consensus Western Conference favorites.
Yeah, agreed. Although I will say that I won't be shocked if it takes them a little bit to figure it out. Like, there's outside of the big 3, Russ Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, those other 2 guys could kind of change game to game until Frank Vogel tinkers around, finds that right rotation, but they will find it. Most likely probably going to be Wayne Ellington, just a shooter, and
like Dwight or Marc Gasol.
Or
just
something like
center
that.
minutes.
But it's gonna take a while, but they are the most talented team in the West and the second most talented team in the NBA.
And some FanDuel odds if people want to bet on this. They should bet Wayne Ellington scoring 6 threes at least once this season, because I guarantee you he'll do it more than once, because he's gonna have so much open shots and he's gonna go off. And he's a shooter, right? He's not like KCP or someone who's like turned into a shooter. He was born a shooter. He's a lethal shooter. He's gonna be going crazy. So is Malik Monk, man. 40% from 3 last year. He's gonna be crazy from 3 as well.
Yeah. Okay, on to the Memphis Grizzlies, who were kind of one of the most puzzling offseason teams this year. Trading away, arguably, they're one of their best. Yeah, probably losers of the offseason. Trading away Jonas Valanciunas, bringing in Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe. Other than that, having the pretty much exact same team. Improvements in a full season from Jaren Jackson, Dylan Brooks, John Morant, Anthony Melton, Brandon Clark. Like, they're still an exciting team, but this team is trending downwards, in my opinion.
Yeah. Basically, the front office did everything we don't want. They drafted Zaire Williams. We didn't think he was a top 10 guy. We don't like Eric Bledsoe's like locker room presence, because we know he doesn't want to be a backup, and we know he doesn't want to be a backup for a play-in team. Steven Adams is great, but like he's not the shooter that Jonas is. We know he's been practicing a lot, maybe can improve, but Jonas is already a good shooter, right? So that's going to clog the paint a little bit more. They didn't really sign anyone. They had all this money and they just spent it on those 2 guys. They could have just rather went out and signed, got rid of Jokic for like Jonas for nothing and signed him like DeMar DeRozan or something, right? But they didn't do that. Internal growth. That's all they're banking on.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna see what you have in your core this year. I think John Morant, Dylan Brooks, Brandon Clark, and JJJ and Desmond Bane. Like, that's a core that you're gonna have to build around. The additions they made around that core were very, very ill-advised and questionable this offseason, but it's just one offseason and it's a young team, so we'll see. But they're I don't expect them to be in the play-in or the playoffs this year. Maybe like a 12 seed, but I think they'd be lucky to get that far. Yeah.
Yeah, I see them dropping down and getting a high pick this year.
Yeah, so do I. Okay, so a team that's going to shoot up and possibly be finals contenders is the previous year 9 seed Golden State Warriors. I'm so excited to watch this team. Hopefully, healthy Klay Thompson.
Splash Brothers are back.
The Splash Brothers are back. Draymond Green is back to being the guy who can score 5 points a game and not be criticized.
2 times gold medal Olympian.
Yeah, Andrew Wiggins, another year of James Wiseman, with the guys they drafted who are good players but also very good trade assets. Yeah, this team is very exciting and is going to be in so many nationally televised games.
Yeah, and their guy Iguodala also returns. Kevin Looney is on this team as well. Otto Porter,
Bielitsa, they got
for a minimum.
Pretty good.
Yeah, Bielitsa's a good shooter. He's He's a legit 7-footer who could shoot the ball. Otto Porter is someone who could play defense at a very high level, and Otto Porter could start. In my opinion, he won't start. But I'm just saying he could start because if you trade, Andrew Wiggins to match cap with someone, right? Add those young guys, then Otto Porter could start at that 3, right? Yeah. But I'm just saying that. I'm just putting that out there. But they have a bench: Poole, Porter, Iguodala, Looney, Kuminga, Moody. They have a bench. They obviously have a great starting lineup with the best backcourt potentially of all time, and Steph and Klay. They have Wiggins, Draymond, another Hall of Famer, and they have Wiseman, who looks like a completely new human being in Summer League. Obviously, it's just one game, but he did look a lot better and a lot bigger, gained a lot of weight, so he could be very improved. This is our 2nd seed in the Western Conference. We're very high on them without a trade. So if they make a trade to improve on top of this, they could be, finals favorites. But with no trade, we have them 2nd and competing for the finals. And I think they could push the Lakers to 7. And it's a toss-up for me for those 2 teams.
I think they could. It would come down to James Wiseman is not going to be able to start at the 5 long term for a championship team. It would probably be Draymond small ball at the 5. But like you've said before, I don't know if his body can hold up like that for
a whole season.
A whole season, or even a full playoff run at this point at his age. But there are trades to be made for sure. Let's say they bring in Pascal Siakam.
Wow,
this could be a very, very, very interesting year for the Warriors.
And you have to remember, Pascal Siakam won a championship as the 3rd option, and behind Steph and Klay, he'll be a 3rd option again, and he'll be super amazing. Yeah. Another name that hasn't been mentioned, but we like, and I've been mentioning it a lot, is Christian Wood.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to trade Wiggins to get Wood.
Yeah.
Wiseman and Poole match salary-wise, so I'm just putting it out there. So if they could get Christian Wood, Wiseman, Poole, maybe throw in one of Moody or Kuminga. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, definitely. Sad to say, but a team that I think is going to be competing for one of the worst teams in the league is the Spurs.
Number 1 pick.
Probably looking at maybe a number 1 pick there. Losing DeMar DeRozan. Who else did they lose? Patty Mills.
Patty Mills.
Everyone. Their starting lineup is probably DeJounte Murray, who's good, Derrick White, who's good. 2nd year Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and Jakob Poeltl is probably their starting lineup.
Yeah.
They brought in Thad Young. They have Lonnie Walker, Doug McDermott. Yeah. Our guy Josh Primo, maybe he's their savior, but
we really like Primo. We think he is worth that pick. We think he will outshine that pick value, and we think people will stop bashing the Spurs and trust what they say and be like, oh man, the Spurs did it again. They found another gem. But that won't be next year. We've seen a lot of his game. We've seen more games of him. Toronto fans and San Antonio fans. And we're going to tell you he's going to be good. But next, he's a 3-level scorer, but not next year. So you're going to hear a lot. But his 2nd year, I expect him to do huge improvements, like a Keldon Johnson, who in his 2nd year went from who in the league knew him besides Spurs fans, right? To he's an Olympian. He's a gold medal Olympian. So that's how much improvement he made. So expect a 2nd year jump for him. And Devin Vassell too. People are always forgetting him. Spurs players make that 2nd year jump. He will too.
Yeah.
They're competing for Chet Holmgren and that number 1 seed.
Yeah.
That number 1 pick.
Yeah. They also brought in Zach Collins, which is like kind of a wild card because I don't remember last time he even played. But this year's about get that number 1 pick, put him beside Josh Primo. You got something there,
and
right?
Keldon Johnson and DeJounte Murray, man. Like that's an interesting four there.
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah,
I like it, man. I like what the Spurs are doing. A quick rebuild.
Yeah. Okay, on to the Pelicans, who were on the other end of that Jonas Valanciunas trade. So that puts him beside Zion in the front court. They brought in Devontae Graham. They obviously got rid of Eric Bledsoe and Lonzo Ball. Which was, I don't think they got enough in that trade back for Lonzo Ball.
Same.
So I don't know. What do we feel about the Pelicans?
So they offered Kyle Lowry $35 a year, but he obviously declined. So that was the whole Lonzo situation, and that sucks. But he was gone, and they rebounded nice with Devontae Graham. I think he's solid, starting point guard at a very good contract that they got him for. So now they have Devontae Graham. I'm gonna just assume they re-signed their RFA that they have right now, which is Josh Hart. I'm gonna assume they re-signed him starting at shooting guard, and then Brandon Ingram at small forward, Zion at power forward, Jonas at center. Way better spacing, spacing.
Yeah,
Zion's gonna absolutely feast next year points wise. I don't know if it's gonna result. They're gonna be a playing team, but like Zion's gonna feast. It's gonna be crazy to watch. Their bench is still solid. They have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Kira Lewis Jr. Still a solid bench.
They brought in Thomas Satoransky, very solid.
Thomas Satoransky, who's could play like a playmaking small forward.
Yep.
They have Jackson Hayes, who hopefully gets that court stuff situated and he's good to go.
Yeah.
But they're very, very good. Very, very young though. So probably a playing team.
Yeah, I agree. Probably a playing team. I think playmaking is going to be the big question with this team. Losing Lonzo Ball, losing Eric Bledsoe, bringing in Devontae Graham, who's a scorer, but will probably be
a good playmaker too.
Yeah. This will be an opportunity for him definitely to show that he can do that. I do like that addition for sure. Yeah. That's pretty much all there is on them. The Kings were the 12 seed last year and are probably looking at around the same finish, if not worse, this year, in my opinion. They didn't really get worse. They just teams around them got better.
Yeah.
Pretty much running it back. They re-signed Rashawn Holmes. They drafted Davion Mitchell, who I like. They re-signed Terrence Davis. They brought in Tristan Thompson. Pretty much it. Another year of Tyrese Halliburton.
We were all wondering, like, man, why you like signing Davion Mitchell like when you have Halliburton, Hield, and Fox, but they're pushing hard for a trade. I think they're gonna land Simmons. I hope they land Simmons.
Yeah,
I hope it happens. But the Kings, will talk about them later when they make that trade, because right now they look the same and have some really questionable moves like drafting Davion Mitchell. But they have to make trades, right?
Yeah, they have to. They're so boring to talk about right now. Let's just wait till they get Ben Simmons. They hopefully get Ben Simmons. Okay, a slightly less boring team, the Timberwolves. Hopefully getting a full healthy year from all their guys, their core guys. If they do, I don't think they might be a play-in team, but I think they're gonna be a fun team at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
The D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, and Towns is the big three with like Josh Okogie, Jaden McDaniels, Jared Vanderbilt. Yeah, Beasley. Good role players, good top 6, top 7 rotation. I think they're gonna be competing for a play-in.
And that Torian Prince trade is huge for them. Yeah. Finally, they have a power forward who's really like a small forward, but he can play power forward.
Yeah,
get some minutes for them. Solid. They have a really small lineup, man. They're gonna start D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, Beasley, Culver, and Towns with a bench of Okogie, Torian Prince. Like that's a really small McDaniel. That's really small, and I think that's gonna expose them. If Cat misses any game, they're basically losing that game. So, but Cat's good enough to get into the play-ins or play-in contention. So, man, it just sucks being a Timberwolves fans because you're good, but you're just missing something. You're missing that health, and you're missing that that excitingness. Hopefully, Edwards takes a huge leap and you get that back.
Yeah, that's the thing. This team to me is just like Towns is doing his thing. Who around him will step up and complement him? Fully healthy season of Russell, hopefully. Anthony Edwards making a leap,
second jump.
All those guys you mentioned, they will be at least, I think, a fun offensive team. Defense will be another question.
Defense would be awful. Yeah.
We'll see, but they will be fun, and that's kind of all you can ask from them at this point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Thunder are going to be towards the bottom of the league
Worst
again.
team. Yeah.
Competing with the Spurs and the Magic for that 1 seed for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping our guy Shea can actually play the whole season. It's crazy how a second year or whatever third year guy was getting benched because he was too good last year. I'm just hoping he actually plays. We might be looking at like a Poku in the starting lineup for them this year. It's gonna be
it's gonna be rough.
It's gonna be rough, and they're gonna be going for Chet Holmgren or some of those other guys up there.
Yeah, I feel bad because Josh Giddey is already injured. Josh Giddey's already got hurt. Yeah, he got hurt on his first game back. Derrick Favors is probably their starting center for at least a little while. He can provide some solid minutes there. Shea at the 1, Dort at the 3. Everyone else is like they're gonna be competing for their minutes, and people are gonna be like, "Oh man, like you're missing out on like Polsky's gonna be started." Obviously, Bazley, we expect him to start at 4.
Yeah,
but Polsky might start at 3, move Dort to the 2. Like they have so much questions. They have a lot of flexibility, but besides Shea and Dort kind of just being a defensive beast, everything else a question mark.
Yeah, for sure. I guess we just got one more team to talk about, and that's the Houston Rockets, who are in a pretty interesting position, drafting Jalen Green, 2nd overall, really good scorer. Christian Wood, hopefully healthy this year. John Wall, Kevin Porter Jr. was a breakout at the end of the season last year.
Yeah.
They brought in Alperen Sengun, the Turkish center. Usman Garuba, really good defender. Josh Christopher. A lot of guys, very, very, very young team. Maybe looking at John Wall midseason trade.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I don't know. They're going to be bad, but they're going to be fun to watch for all their young talent.
Yeah, people are putting them in the play-in things are really overestimating Green. If he does, like he'll be probably Rookie of the Year lock.
Yeah.
He's already going to be a favorite for Rookie of the Year. I have Cade, you have Cade, I think.
Yeah, so for sure.
Green's probably going to be 2nd. They're a good team. They're going to make little trades here and there. Like Daniel House could definitely be on a contender, help someone out. He's only making 3.8. If the right package comes for Christian Wood, he's only on a 2-year deal. So if you don't want to pay him, he might be gone. And John Wall's contract's not that bad anymore because it's only on a 2-year, right? So this is one of the years. So next year he'll be expiring. So look for his trade too. But yeah, this is just a rebuilding team. I think we knew that since they traded Harden.
Exactly. But I don't think they'll be the worst team in the West. And I think that's a win considering how badly that Harden trade went and how young they are. It'll be fun to watch Jalen Green. It'll be fun to watch Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood at the very least. That's all 30 teams. Some teams are that took a little longer than expected, but we got through all 30 teams. Thank you everyone for listening to this episode. We'll be back next week like we always are to talk more NBA. Until then, you can check us out on Instagram at Stretch the Floor Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, STF Clips. Leave a 5-star rating and review on the podcast feed, wherever you get your podcast, because it all really helps with the algorithm. Other than that, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next week.